Good evening, everyone. Zazi King, Narayan Dutt, Khushi Bedi, Gori Prasad, Mimansha Aditya. Are you able to hear my sound? Please confirm. Am I audible properly? Good evening, Kashish, Prerana, Vineet, Anshika. Thank you, Mimansha. Okay, fine. So, today we are going to start with quadratic equations. And this session is going to be more mathematical. Lot of equation solving, expressions handling, lot of properties, lots of variables. So I want you to be more attentive, much more attentive, and I will not be taking many of your doubts. Okay, we won't be taking many of your doubts. We would be covering a lot of things. There are too many things to do. So there will be some new things as well as some recapitulation as well. Okay, I think it's 7 and we should start now. Okay, start. So I welcome all of you again. Good evening. Yes, here is Ankit. Hare Krishna, Ankit. Okay, let's start now. So in the last two sessions, yes, we are just starting, Ashu, you didn't miss anything. So in the last two sessions, we talked about linear equations and various variety of things were there, right? And today we are going to start this quadratic equations, and tomorrow we will be continuing with some higher degree equations. We can call them sometimes spatial equations or in general polynomials. We have talked about that. And also we will cover that surd and indices topic tomorrow, right? So surd and indices, which was to be done in the last class, we will do it tomorrow. So today we are focusing on quadratic equations. Before I start, all of you know, what do you mean by quadratic equation? Linear equation were having degree 1 and quadratic equations have a degree of, you can write in the comments. Quadratic equation means degree 2, right? Degree 2. So that we had talked earlier. So degree 2, that is the meaning of quadratic equation. So degree 2 ka meaning kya hai? What is the meaning of degree 2? Degree 2 means there are going to be two roots. There are going to be two roots of that equation. That means there will be two values of the variable which will make that equation equal to 0, right? That expression equal to 0. So in general, if we talk about, then ax square plus bx plus c, that is a quadratic polynomial, right? And if I equate it equal to some constant value, mostly 0 only, so then we call it a quadratic equation. Fine, this is a quadratic equation of degree 2 and there will be two roots. That means there will be two values of x which will make this equation equal to 0, right? Let's take a few more examples. If I talk about, say, x square plus 3x plus 1, is it a quadratic expression? It is a quadratic polynomial? Yes, right? It's a quadratic polynomial, and if I equate it to something maybe 0, it becomes a quadratic equation. Okay? See, the quadratic equation which we are going to talk about in this session, we specifically are going to deal with equations of single variable, right? Equation of this quadratic equation of single variable, right? Degree 2 was the highest power of the variable, so there can be more than one variable as well. But all the things which we are going to discuss today, they belong to the quadratic equations of single variable. Mostly we will be using x only. Sometimes other variables may be there, but there will be only single variable, right? So whatever things, whatever properties, whatever methods which we are going to discuss, that are valid for quadratic equations of single variable. So this two roots, this thing is also valid for a quadratic equation that is degree 2 of single variable. Okay? Otherwise, just think that x square plus y square equal to, let's say, maybe 10. Is it a quadratic equation or not? What is the degree of this polynomial if we talk about x square plus y square? That's also a quadratic only. That's also a degree 2 polynomial, right? But it is having more than one variable. It is having more than one variable. So the things which we are going to discuss today, we are not going to talk anything about this. We are going to talk only about single variable, right? In this case, it's not that there are only two values. There can be many more values. There can be many values, right? So what we are going to talk about is quadratic equation in single variable. Fine. In exam also we are going to get single variable only, Shubhangi. That's just for your information that you must get to know. So when we are saying highest power of variable 2, that is degree 2, so there can be a degree 2 polynomial with more than one variables also, right? But when we are talking about, we are discussing about this topic, so we are going to discuss about single variable, and in exams also you are going to questions based on single variables only, right? Sometimes when we get equations involving more than one variable, in that case there will be different ways to solve that. That also sometimes is a part of the exam, but it is not a question of that topic now. So that will be topic of that next class. Fine. Yes, this is the equation of a circle. So we can put many values of x, there will be many values of y. So it's not that this equation will have two roots. No, this will be having more roots. This will be having more values, right? Basically infinite values. But the two roots or two values of variable is going to be the case when we are dealing with single variable. So that is just basic introduction. Let's move further now. So this was the general case of quadratic equation and how to solve it. What are the different solutions? What are the different ways to solve it? We will discuss further. Okay, so solving quadratic equations. So how to solve? Manas, surds I just told, I think you joined late. So surds and indices, that is one topic, one part, a small part which was left in the last class of linear equation that we will cover in tomorrow's class, not today. Fine? Okay, so now solving quadratic equations. So let me take an example. If we are having an equation x square plus 5x plus 6 equals to 0. Can you quickly solve it and find the answer, please? Yes, exactly. Wonderful, Vatan. So we can use the splitting the middle term. All these things we have done in school. I think in 8th or 9th class. Good. So Anjali, Vijay, Aditya, many of you have got the answer, but I can see different answers as well. Some of you are writing 2, 3. Some of you are writing -2, -3, 1, 5. There are many different variations. Okay, let's see how to solve it. So we are going to discuss 3 different methods to solve a quadratic equation. I repeat, we are going to discuss 3 methods. So let's use the first method, that is splitting the middle term. Splitting the middle term. So what is the meaning of splitting the middle term? Splitting the middle term means we break this middle term in 2 parts. Right, we split this middle term in 2 parts so that we can factorize it easily. There must be some common factors. So now the way is that we need to split it in 2 parts such that their product comes out to be products of this first term and last term. I repeat, the product of the 2 parts which we are going to cover here, make it here. So their product should be equal to product of this first and last term. In this case, product must be 6x square, right? So can you think of 5x ko kya likhe? How should we break 5x in 2 parts whose product becomes 6x square? What should we write? How we should write 5x? How we should split this 5x so that their product becomes 6x square? Yes, 2x and 3x. Exactly, thank you. So we can break it as 2x and 3x. So this 2x plus 3x, let's say. So plus 6, and here it was x square. Now, as I said, my purpose is to factorize it, and we can take these 2 terms together and this last 2 together. So this is going to be equal to 0. So from this first 2 terms, if I take x common, it is simply x times x plus 2. Same way, from these last 2 terms, I can take 3 common. This plus sign is also here. So that also remains x plus 2. Now this x plus 2 is the common part. So taking x plus 2 common, so we are left with x plus 2 multiplied with x plus 3. That comes out to be equal to 0. Fine. So it's simply the product of these 2 terms is equal to 0. How it is going to be true? It's going to be true only when either one of them is 0 or both also may be 0. So that's how we get the value. Answer as x equals -2 or -3. Right? If any one of them is true, then the equation is valid. So these are the 2 different values of x which satisfy this particular equation. Got it? I hope that was a simple example. Yes, split it into 6x minus x. Okay, Nikita is saying 6x minus x. If we break it into 6x minus x, what is going to be the product? 6x minus x. Of course, their sum is equal to 5x only. But if I multiply them, this product is going to be negative of 6x square, isn't it? This product is going to be negative of 6x square. So, but I wanted the product to be positive 6x square. Is it fine? So that's how this case won't be valid here. Is it clear? So how we are going to split this middle term? So that is a tricky part. So sometimes you are able to do it. In some questions, it won't be very easy to find. Fine? Is it okay? Okay, let's take one more example. Let's take one more example. So please solve this now. X square plus 5x minus 6 equals to 0. Please solve it. Find the value of x. Good. So this time, as someone was doing 6x and minus x, now this will work. Because this time I want the product to be minus 6x square, isn't it? So to make the product minus 6x square, now we can split this 5x as 6x minus x. So it becomes x square plus 5x, 6x minus x minus 6 equals 0. From these 2 terms, we are going to take x common, that is x plus 6. And from these 2 terms, we are going to take minus 1 common. So it is again x plus 6. And taking x plus 6 common from both of these terms, now we have x plus 6 into x minus 1 equals 0, which means x equals 6 or minus 1. Oh, sorry, minus 6 or plus 1. Because x plus 6 is equal to 0, that means x is minus 6. And when x minus 1 is equal to 0, then x comes out to be plus 1. So yes, minus 6 and 1, these are the 2 values or 2 roots, 2 solutions of this equation. Is it fine? Okay, Jafar is asking, can't we take 2 and minus 3? Leke dekh lo. Try. If you break it as 2 and minus 3, will that work? No. First 2 and minus 3, there's someone with positive 5x, right? So we need to split this 5x. So as in the last case, we did it 2x plus 3x, that made it 5x. So that product comes out to be positive 6x square. We did it. And in this case, we want the product to be minus 6x square. So the splitting required would be 6x minus x. So as I said earlier, this splitting the middle term may not always help, because in certain cases, it may not be easy to find the terms, how to break this middle term, right? It may not be integer every time. Okay, so there is another way. Let me take one more example. I hope this point, till this point it is clear. So we are solving one more question now. Let me erase this part. Oh, I think I can clear the entire screen. So we had done the first method, that was splitting the middle term. And we had done 2 examples. Let's take one more example now. If equation is x square plus 4, maybe x square plus 2x and maybe minus 1 equals 0. X square plus 2x minus 1 equals to 0. Now how to solve this? Divyansh is asking any formula or trick for splitting the middle term. There is none. There is none. So that's why we are discussing different ways. It may not be easy always. So let's try to do this. X square plus 2x minus 1 equals to 0. So in this case, can we split it? Yes, some of you are writing by formula. Yes, that will be the another method. I told you there are 3 different methods which we are going to use. So first one was splitting the middle term, and third one is using the formula which many of you are writing already. It is known as quadratic formula. But in between there is another important method which is called completing the square. This is also very, very important method. Actually, in my opinion, I always prefer this one only. Completing the square. This is a really interesting part. Now see how to do it. In this case, it is not easy to split it because we want the product to be minus x square, but we can't split this 2x in 2 terms whose product comes out to be minus x square, right? Integral values are not possible. So how to do it? One way is to use the quadratic formula. We'll do that afterwards. But before that, let's discuss this completing the square. So what does it mean to complete the square? It means using the variables, let's complete a perfect square. So for that part, you must know that some algebraic identity as well. Let's discuss that. Do you know what is a plus b whole square? Please write in your comment box. A plus b whole square, what is the value? Yes, many of you are writing answers. That's nice. What is the value of a plus b whole square? Yes, Aditya has already completed the square. Good. It is a square, b square, 2ab, right? Yes, all of you have done that. So it is a square plus b square plus 2ab. Fine, that is the basic algebraic identity. If it is a minus b whole square, then also you can solve it. Fine. Okay, so here, as I said, I want to use this variable part completely inside the square. So this first term is nothing but x square or a square. So x square. Then second term, this 2x, it is as good as 2ab. So it is 2 into x into what should be b now? B must be 1. That's how it becomes 2ab. Isn't it? This is a square, this is 2ab. So what should be b square? The b square should be 1 square, right? So if I add this 1 square here, then these 3 terms combined, they become a perfect square. Yes or no? Are you getting it? Let me repeat. So my purpose is to complete the square which consumes this variable part completely. So what I'm doing is I'm treating this x as my a, so a square or basically x square, then 2ab, so 2 into x into 1, that makes it 2x, right? Now b comes out to be 1. So to complete the square, I want a term b square, that is 1 square here. So that makes it complete square. Now equate, if I need to see this, x square is already there, 2x is already there, but this plus 1 is not there. So it was actually minus 1. So what should I subtract here? What should I subtract here so that this left hand side becomes equal? I should subtract 2. So it minus 2. That's make it equal to 0. Any doubt so far? Any doubt so far? Fine? But yeah, now let's proceed further. So these 3 terms combined, that becomes x plus 1 whole square, and that is minus 2 equals to 0. So that becomes our expression after completing the square. Clear? Good. Good. Excellent. So now the process is very simple. It's quite visible. So x plus 1 whole square would be equal to 2. Right? And taking square root, we will get x plus 1 equals to plus or minus root of 2. Which means x comes out to be negative 1 with plus minus root of 2. So these are the 2 irrational roots for this particular equation. Is it clear? Roshni is asking why minus 2. Baba, just equate the equation. Na? Just equate this expression. Just equate this expression. It was x square plus 2x minus 1. So it is x square plus 2x plus 1. So I wanted to have minus 1. So plus 1 minus 2 will make it minus 1. Isn't it? Yes, this is an easy method, and as I said, I prefer this one. Why? Because in this expression, we are going to get many things. We are going to get many things clear here. So this method is better actually. And using this method only, we get this quadratic formula. Using this method only, we get this quadratic formula. So let's create this quadratic formula. How we are going to get it and how this can be beneficial. Okay, so this thing will become more clear. Okay, so let me create some space. I will have to again erase all the things. Okay, so we are discussing about the 3 methods. So first method, I told you splitting the middle term. Then I talked about completing the square. And the third part is what we are going to discuss now, that is quadratic formula. Okay, so what is quadratic formula? So ax square plus bx plus c equals to 0. We want to make it equal to 0. We have to find the values of x. Fine. Now, quadratic formula is confusing. It's not. Don't worry. We are not going to make anything confusing. But as I said in the beginning, today's session is going to be more mathematical. It's going to be more mathematical. So ax square plus bx plus c equals to 0. My target is again to complete the square. Okay. My target is again to complete the square. So what I'm going to do from these first 2 terms, x is my variable. A, B, C are the constants, right? They are the constants. They are the coefficients. So let me take a common. If I take a common, then this first term is x square. Then the second term, I've already taken a common, c, so it will be b by a, right? So it is 2 into b by 2a into x. Is this point clear? I have taken already a common, so it is x square. Then this is b upon ax it was. So b upon a means 2 into b by 2a into x. So that becomes my term 2ab, right? So to complete this square, what I should add here? I need to add square of b by 2a. I need to add square of this b by 2a to complete this square. Fine. That's it. So we have completed the square now. So these three terms makes x plus b by 2a whole square. It is x plus b by 2a whole square. Now the term which I have added, that needs to be subtracted as well. So let's close the bracket here. The term which I need to subtract is b by 2a whole square with a multiplied, right? So minus a into b by 2a whole square. So far we have used these two terms only, ax square plus bx. This extra term which I added, I have subtracted also. Now I'm also left with this plus c, and that makes it equal to 0. So that is this complete equation. Fine. See, don't forget that we just talked about a plus b whole square is a square plus 2ab plus b square, right? So in this case, again we want to complete the square. A I have already taken out common, so it is x square, which is acting as my a square. Then 2ab, from how we are going to get 2ab? So from this b upon ax, I need to get 2ab. So 2 into x into b by 2a. Simplify this, how much you get? It is b upon a. And when multiplied with a, it was actually bx, right? Okay, wait, let me write one more step in between. I'm writing with this green color here. If I'm taking a common from these two first terms, so it is a into x square plus b upon a x plus c equals 0. Is this second intermediate step clear? Right, this step is clear. So it is a into x square plus b by ax plus c equals to 0. Now I want to complete the square. So what I'm doing is I'm writing it as a square, 2ab and b square. So this x square is my a square, and b by ax, it must be written as 2ab. So a was x only, 2 I want. So this b by a kaise banega? For that I need to put it b by 2a. So that on multiplication I'm going to get same b by ax. Now to complete the square, we are having a square, we are having 2ab, so I must have b square also. That is square of this b by 2a. Right? So that's how we have completed the square, and the extra term which we have added, I have subtracted. Anyway, if you don't get the process, don't worry. Ultimately, final formula is we are going to use. So we are just discussing how did we get the formula. The method is same, completing the square. And if you understand how to complete the square, so then your life is going to be easy in case of quadratic equations. Okay, let's proceed further now. It's not difficult part, it's very easy. Have patience. I've written everything here. I've written everything here, there's nothing missing. Now, this complete part becomes a square, 2ab, b square, which means it is okay, which means it is a times x plus b by 2a whole square. Fine. X ka square, b by 2a ka square, then 2 times x into b by 2a. That was our identity, isn't it? And what are the additional terms? So what we are having here is, it is minus, this is b square, upon this was 4 times a square, 1a is cancelled, so minus b square upon 4a, right? 1a is cancelled, and this plus c. That is equal to 0. That's the equation so far. Fine. Next, let it be that only, a times x plus b upon 2a. And simplifying this, you get minus b square minus 4ac upon 4a equals 0. I hope I have not done any error here. Fine. Now, this is the complete square part. Now, this is a complete square term, and this is the constant term. Taking it on other side, we can simplify it easily. So it becomes a times x plus b by 2a whole square equals b square minus 4ac upon 4a. Right? Now, taking this a also on that side, we will get x plus b by 2a whole square equals b square minus 4ac upon 4a square. See, I have divided both sides by a, or basically this a which was in multiplication, that has been taken in denominator there, right? Now, because it is square, so take square root both sides, we will get x plus b upon 2a will be square root of this, that is with plus minus sign, you will have b square minus 4ac upon 2a, right? And now you have reached to the quadratic formula. So x will be equal to, taking this b by 2a also on that side, so that is going to be our answer. Let me write it here. So this is going to be, I'm writing this part here. So x is going to be equal to how much? So this b by 2a is also taken on the right hand side. It will become minus b plus minus root of b square minus 4ac upon this 2a. So this part is known as quadratic formula, right? And all of you, whether you have done, you have taken mathematics after 10th or not, in 10th class, all of you have done this. All of you have done this. Fine. And this same method which we have just discussed here, it is also given in your NCERT book. This is from NCERT book only. I have not created anything. There is no credit to me. This everything is there in NCERT book. Is it okay? We have just revised all the things so that we get to understand that important method is actually completing the square. So if you want to avoid remembering this formula, although it is better to remember it, and I'm sure many of you already remember it, but still if you want to avoid using this formula, then the best way is completing the square. So most of the times we will prefer to do that. Otherwise this formula is always there. Is okay? Don't worry, agar NCERT pehle nahi pada, you can remember now also. And otherwise, we have just discussed all the required things. Is it fine? So these are the 3 things. Exam is not going to ask about derivation. Don't bother about that. Yes, that's true. 2a kahin nahi gaya, Diksha. That is just LCM. The 2a is the common denominator here. 2a is the common denominator. Okay, let's proceed further. So basically, we have seen how to solve a quadratic equation. Now we are going to solve a lot of questions today. अरे यूपी बोर्ड में भी क्वाड्रेटिक थोड़ा चेंज हो जाएगा. यूपी बोर्ड also has same quadratic equation, same quadratic formula. Anyway, so let's move further now. So we have discussed so far 3 methods to solve a quadratic equation. So wherever possible, we use splitting the middle term also, and completing the square was also a good method. How it is good method, we will see in many questions later, not now. And the other method was, if you don't want to use brain, you can memorize. Then you can memorize this formula, which is known as quadratic formula. So it is x equals to minus b plus minus root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. And now importance of this formula is that just by seeing this formula, we are going to tell a lot of things about the equation, roots of equation, and nature of its roots and all. ठीक है? Okay, so let's move further now. Yes, so now we are going to talk about roots and solution of a quadratic equation. So as we just wrote, ax square plus bx plus c equals 0. So for this equation, using that quadratic formula, I hope all of you remember. So x is equal to how much? So using that formula, we get minus b plus minus root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. So that was the result. So we are going to use it. So these are known as roots or solutions of this equation. Fine. Whatever was required from NCERT book, we have already discussed any. So doesn't bother much. So yes, to practice more basic questions, you can certainly refer to NCERT. There's no harm in that. There's no harm in that. Okay. Okay, let's move further now. So ax square plus bx plus c, this is our quadratic formula. Now roots and solutions of this quadratic equation. So based on the values of a, b and c, this part inside here, so that tells us about the nature of roots, how the roots are going to behave. And also in general, if I write alpha and beta are the two roots of this equation. So first let's understand, what does it mean? What does it mean? Yes, it is called discriminant, that's true. We call this root term as a discriminant inside the term. Okay, first answer me one thing. If I say alpha and beta are the two roots of this particular quadratic equation, what does it mean? What does it mean? Value satisfying the equation. Excellent. So value satisfying the equation means if I put the value of x as alpha, then this equation will be equal to 0. The expression will be equal to 0. Yani ki, let me write. So if I put x equals to alpha, so at x equals to alpha, the expression becomes a into alpha square plus b into alpha plus c. So that must become equal to 0. Right? Similarly, at x equal to beta also, this is going to be equal to 0. At x equal to beta also, so a into beta square plus b into beta plus c, that is also going to be 0. Right? So alpha and beta are the roots or solutions of this equation. That means by putting x equal to alpha, the expression must become equal to 0. That must satisfy the equation. All right? Okay. So now here's one important part. How should I tell this? Okay, let's see it like this. So if ax square plus bx plus c, this is having two roots, alpha and beta. So x minus alpha must certainly divide it. Right? I repeat, if alpha is the root of this, it means x minus alpha must be a factor of this equation. X minus alpha must completely divide it. Yes or no? How can we say that? X minus alpha must certainly divide it. See, when I'm putting x is equal to alpha, how to get a remainder? How to get remainder? Let me tell it again. How to get remainder when we divide this expression by x minus alpha? So by putting x is equal to alpha. By putting x is equal to alpha, if it comes out to be 0, it means it is divisible. Right? And we know that by putting alpha, it is coming out to be 0. It means x minus alpha is a factor. And yes, x minus beta also is a factor. Now just equating the coefficient of x square, we see on left hand side coefficient of x square is a, so on right hand side also coefficient of x square must be a. So we need to put an extra a here. Now this equality is true. Is it fine? Good. So I repeat, so if alpha and beta are the roots, it means ax square plus bx plus c equals a into x minus alpha into x minus beta. That's the basic thing. Right? And how does I got it? I just found it by using remainder theorem, that if x minus alpha divide this number, it means a alpha square b alpha plus c, that must be equal to 0, which is the case, which was the meaning of the basically roots. Right? So that's how x minus alpha is a factor, x minus beta is a factor. So that becomes the equation. Now if I open this up, so we are going to get very important relations between the roots and the coefficients. If somebody is asking, Rashna is asking why a. Can somebody answer why I have multiplied this a here? Before that, Sweta is also asking why we have multiplied a here. Yes, anyone can mention that? ये a क्यों लिखा है? Yes, good question. Why we have multiplied this a here? Coefficient of x square. We have just equated the coefficient of x square. We can't write b here. No. It is coefficient of x square to make equations equal exactly. See, if I'm going to expand it. Forget this a first. If I'm going to multiply this, so it is going to be x square, right? X into x is x square. Then x into minus alpha will be minus alpha x, and similarly minus beta x. That means minus alpha plus beta times x. Right? And finally minus alpha into minus beta, that is going to be plus alpha beta. Right? Now if this bracketed part is to be put equal to this left hand side, so then coefficient of x square must match now. Basically all coefficients must match, but in the other coefficients I'm not sure whether alpha plus beta is equal to this, maybe, you know. So to match it, what I need to do, the coefficient of x square must match. So that's how we have multiplied it, this a here. Right? So now it is confirmed that it is ax square, it must be same. So now at the same time the coefficient of x must also match. coefficient of x must also match. The coefficient of x here is b, and coefficient of x, that means the term which is multiplied with x, is a into negative of alpha plus beta, that is minus a times alpha plus beta. So this gives the important result that alpha plus beta, or sum of the roots, is nothing but minus b upon a. Again, this same part also you have done in your 10th class NCERT. Right? Now exactly same way, if I equate the constant term, on left hand side the constant term is c, and on the right hand side it is a times alpha beta. Now this part gives us that product of the two roots, alpha into beta, that is, we can write as p, is nothing but c by a. So this is the important part which we are going to use a lot of times. Is it fine? Yes, the product of the roots is c by a, sum of the roots negative of b by a. So there's nothing new in all these things. All these things you have done in your school level, but we are just revising, and we are going to apply a lot of things now. So far what we have discussed, I told you in the beginning only, it's going to be a mathematical session today. So we discussed about the quadratic formula. So how to get this quadratic formula? We use completing the square expression, and then using this remainder theorem we got to know that if I divide this part by x minus alpha, so whatever will be the remainder, that is obtained by putting x equal to alpha, and if the remainder is equal to 0, that means this term is divisible by x minus alpha, or this is having x minus alpha as a factor. And we know that a alpha square b alpha plus c equal to 0. It means, it confirms that x minus alpha is a factor. Same way x minus beta is also a factor. Now just by equating the coefficients of x square, we had to put this extra a here, and now by equating the other coefficients also, that is coefficient of x and coefficients of basically constant term, so we have got these two important relations. So by using them, we got sum of the roots and product of the roots. So this was the important part which we have discussed so far. Fine. Okay, let's move further now. Now we are going to use all these things, right? We are going to use all these things, so that thing must be in your mind always. So before we apply in the questions, so let's move to one more theoretical part, that is graphical analysis. Graphical analysis, let's try to see what is going to be the how does it going to look, how does the graph of a quadratic expression going to look. So ax square plus bx plus c, that was our quadratic polynomial. So if I equate it equal to y, it is going to be equal to 0 for particular values of its roots, particular values of x. But if I put some other values of x, so we will not be getting 0 always, there will be some other values, right? Okay, now y is equal to ax plus bx plus c, there is going to be a lot of information. So those things which are new to you, so be attentive, we are going to learn something new thing, right? There can be some old things as well. In the previous part there were some old things. Now in this graphical analysis part, there are going to be a lot of new things. Let's take an example first, then we shall see. If our equation is, if quadratic equation is x square maybe minus 4x plus 4 equals 0. Can you simplify and find the value of x? Find the value of x, please. X square minus 4x plus 4 equals to 0. 2, right? So you can split the middle term, you can use the quadratic formula, you can complete the square, and you can see it is a square basically, it's perfect square only. So 2 is the single root. So if I put x equal to 2, that is going to satisfy this, and that is the only value. Yes, एक ही value निकली है. Basically both roots are same here, both are equal roots, because it is a complete square, it is x minus 2 whole square. So any of the three methods you can use by splitting the middle term as well. If I split the middle term, I wanted the product to be positive 4x square, so minus 2x will do the work. So x square minus 2x plus 4 equals 0, which means x times x minus 2 minus 2 times x minus 2, that is equal to 0, which means x minus 2 into x minus 2 equals 0. There is the first method, if you remember, splitting the middle term or completing the square. So this expression can be written as x square then minus 2 into x into 2, right? To match this minus 4x, and I should have this plus 2 square also, and this plus 2 square is nothing but plus 4, which is already given. So this is equal to 0, so this is a perfect square, x minus 2 whole square equal to 0. So we are having value x equal to 2 only. And if I use that quadratic formula, then x equals to minus b, so b is here, minus 4, so minus of minus 4, that is positive 4 only, and with plus minus sign we have b square, that is minus 4 ka square, minus 4ac, so minus 4, a is 1 here and c is 4. Upon 2a, a is 1 only, so it is 2 only. So 4 square 16 minus 16, that is 0. Now minus into minus 4, that is positive 4 by 2 is equal to 2. So all the three methods we can easily apply here, fine? Anyway, so if I put any other value of x in this case, if I use any other value of x in this case, will this expression be equal to 0? If you put x equal to 3, please find out the value. If you put x equal to 3, what is going to be the value? If you put x equal to 3, what is going to be the value of this expression? Will it be 0? It's going to be 1. Good. It's not equal to 0. So it was 0 only for x is equal to 2. For all other values, there will be some other numbers, right? For x is equal to 3, it is coming out to be 1. What if I put x equals to 1? What if I put x equals to 1? It's not 25, sure, yeah? If I put x equal to 1, then also it is coming out to be 1, right? So let's plot the graph. Let's plot the graph. I'm erasing this part and let me write the equation again. So our equation was x square minus 4x plus 4. This was our expression. Let us call it y. So if I see the graph, so at x equals to 2, x equal to 2, this value was 0, value of y was 0, so it was here only. And if I use x equal to 3, then we are finding the value of y as 1. Right, value of y is 1. And at x equals to 1, also value of y is equal to 1. Isn't it? Okay, let's check one more value. If I put x equals to 4, can you find out the value? If I put x equals to 4, what is going to be the value? At x equals to 4. It's 4, right? So at x equal to 4, the value also comes out to be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say somewhere here. Okay, and what about at x equal to 0? If I put x equal to 0, again it is going to be 4, isn't it? If I put x equal to 0, again it is going to be 0. So if you join all these points, you are going to get a graph something like this. Something like of the shape of U. U jaisa dikhai de raha hai. It looks like a U or a bell. It is also known as bell-shaped graph. So mathematically we call it parabola. So mathematically this graph has a name, parabola. Not kaun bola? Parabola. Okay, good. So you are able to identify that. So the values are changing. We are getting same values since this middle term, right? So this point is known as vertex of this parabola, right? And at equal distance from this vertex is on the right side, on the left side, we are going to get same values of y, right? So if I draw any line parallel to x-axis, so these two values are going to be same, right? If I draw any parallel line here, we are going to get the two values of y to be same always. Fine. So this vertex, this point is known as vertex. Basically, it acts as the this line acts as a line of symmetry. The graph is symmetrical about this line. Is it fine? So that's the mainly graphical analysis of this parabola, this quadratic polynomial. So what are different shapes of parabola we are going to get? Is it fine? So in this particular equation or quadratic expression which we are dealing here, so we have seen this graph is an upward parabola with touching x-axis at one point. So there are three more total different cases possible. Let's see. Now let's draw all of them. So there are different things possible. That this parabola is upward and it intersects x-axis at 2 points, right? It may just touch the x-axis at 1 point, or it may not touch x-axis anywhere, right? It is going above that. And all the cases can be reversed also. Yes, total 6 cases there will be. So if I reverse all these cases, so it may happen that it's a downward parabola intersecting x-axis at 2 points. It may be a downward parabola just touching the x-axis at 1 point, and it may be a downward parabola not touching x-axis at all. Is it clear? Okay, so what can we infer by seeing this graphs? That's the point now. What can we infer by seeing this graphs? So we are dealing about a general parabola now, general quadratic expression. That means, say, y equals ax square plus bx plus c. We are talking about this general equation now, general parabola. Fine. Okay, so we know that it is a quadratic polynomial, so it is going to have exactly two roots. There will be two values of x. So the two values can be different, they can be same, or they can be non-real, right? So just by seeing the graph, we get these three things. So the equations can have two different roots. So if it is having two different roots, so we write them alpha and beta. They are equal roots, we can call them same alpha only, and these are two non-real roots. Okay? So first thing, in what case we are going to get upward parabola? So the parabola will be upward or not, it depends on the sign of A. I repeat, it depends on the sign of A. So if A is positive, in that case, the graph will be upward parabola. Fine. And if this A is negative, then graph is going to be downward parabola. Fine. That's one thing. Acha, what does it matter? How does it matter? Usse pata kya chalta hai? What do we get to know about this? So if it is an upward parabola, you can see that it can be extended to any heights. It can be extended to any heights. So that means there is no fixed value for maximum possible value of the expression. Right? So the maximum value of the expression can go on increasing and increasing. So as we draw this graph for x square minus 4x plus 4, so we had seen that it was an upward parabola and there is no limit for its maximum possible value. Right? There is no fixed maximum possible value. Or we can say that maximum value is infinite possible. Right? Okay, but you can see it has a fixed minimum value, right? So minimum value is fixed here. So minimum value will occur at this point of vertex, right? So at this vertex we are going to have the minimum value. So for all these cases we are going to have a fixed minimum value. So in this case minimum value is going to be at the midpoint here, isn't it? You can see it. Acha, can you identify at what value of x we are going to get minimum here? Just by seeing this graph. We have not discussed any algebra about this, but just by seeing this graph, can you find out that this maximum value here, at what value of x we are going to get it? It is to be exactly between alpha and beta. Isha is asking what are the use cases, Mr. Your part. Anyway, see here first. So it should be exactly between alpha and beta. That is because of symmetry, we have already seen that, right? So between alpha and beta, that means at x equals to alpha plus beta by 2. So at x equals to alpha plus beta by 2. And just previously we had discussed alpha plus beta is sum of the roots. Remember what was the expression for sum of the roots? Alpha plus beta? It was minus b by a, right? So it becomes minus b upon 2a. So at this value, we are going to get maximum or minimum value of the quadratic polynomial. Is it okay? So alpha plus beta was minus b upon a and divided by 2 is also there. That's how it becomes minus b by 2a. So this is the point of symmetry. This is the point where the line of symmetry crosses x-axis. So always at this value, whether we are having two different roots, whether we are having same root or only one root, or whether we are having non-real roots, then also. So this symmetric line of symmetry will always pass through this point. So this point is always the midpoint of alpha plus beta, that is minus b by 2a. Right? So at minus b by 2a, always we are going to get maximum or minimum value. So when it is going to be minimum, when we are having an upward parabola, in that case we are going to get minimum value at this value of x, and if it is going to be downward parabola, so then lower extreme is infinite but upper extreme is fixed here, right? So in this case maximum value will be occurring at the same point, x equals to minus b by 2a. Till this point is it okay? Derivative निकाल के भी कर सकते हैं, Bhaskar is asking. Yes, if you know, but you won't be able to do it always. You may stuck somewhere, although that method is fine, but you may stuck somewhere, so it is always better. Okay, so we have discussed, we are just seeing the graphical analysis part here. Just by seeing the graph, we know it is a symmetrical graph, right? It is symmetrical about this vertex point, and vertex point is occurring at x equals to minus b by 2a, right? At x equal to minus b by 2a, and at this value of x equals to minus b by 2a, what is the value of y? That value will be either maximum or minimum, depending upon whether the graph was upward parabola or downward parabola, right? And upward parabola was there if a was positive, and if a is negative, in that case it is downward parabola. Till this point, is it fine? All right, let's move further. So let me rewrite that quadratic expression. So quadratic expression was x equals minus b plus minus root of b square minus 4ac by 2a, right? Okay, so as we can see, whether we are going to have two roots or one root or no root, how do we get to know? We can find it using this discriminant, the term inside the root, it is called discriminant. Preetham, minus b by 2 we just discussed now. Alpha plus beta ka midpoint. It is midpoint between alpha and beta, so it is alpha plus beta by 2. And alpha plus beta we did it already, it is minus b by a. So that's how minus b by a divided by 2 will give you minus b upon 2a. Okay, so now how we are going to get, just by saying this equation, whether we are going to get two roots or one root or no real roots. So it depends upon this term inside the root. This is called discriminant. So if this b square minus 4ac, इसको हम discriminant बोलते हैं, let discriminant d is equal to b square minus 4ac. So depending upon this value of d, we can find out what is going to happen. See, if this d is greater than 0, what will happen? If this d is greater than 0, it is a positive term. So this is a positive term. So root will be a some real number. So minus b plus minus some real number, positive real number divided by 2a, it is going to be two different values. So we are going to get two different roots, right? But what if d is equal to 0? If this d is equal to 0, Mimansha, discriminant यही तो है ना, b square minus 4ac. We are talking about this. So this discriminant, as I said earlier also, this is going to tell us the nature of the roots, and those nature of roots we are seeing from this graph also. So just we are matching it here. So if this d is equal to 0, in that case this part is gone. So value of x is going to be minus b by 2a. There's only single value, right? Which can be seen from the graph here. So if graph is of this sort, then that means d is equal to 0, right? So sometimes if it says that the parabola just touches the x-axis at one point, it means it is having only one root. It means d must be equal to 0. Is it not? And similarly, when this d is negative, in that case we are having a negative number inside the root, and whenever we are having a negative number inside the root, it is called imaginary or non-real. So this is the case when we are having non-real roots. So there are no real roots, so it is not touching x-axis at all. Fine. So these are the conditions. So these are 6 different cases, and we have tried to understand all of them. So when a is positive, it's upward parabola, which means it is going to have its minimum value at x equals to minus b by 2a, or between the roots basically, right? At the midpoint of the roots. And second case, when a is negative, then it is going to be downward parabola, which is going to have a fixed maximum value, and that maximum value is again going to be there at x equals to minus b by 2a. Fine. Okay, so we are going to apply all these learnings so far which we have done in questions now. Okay, let's move further. Preetham is asking, so we can just find the value of x at minus b by 2a after identifying the equation by d. Yes, Preetham, yes. D equals to 0, what will be the nature of roots? D is greater than 0. See, if d is greater than 0, so root of a positive number is a real number, right? So real number divided by real number will be real number. So there are two different real roots. That was answer to your question. Yes, real and unequal. Okay, don't worry. Whatever things we have discussed, all these points are going to come here in the slides. Next slide. So before that, here's a small question. Okay, try to answer this now. The vertex of the parabola, this is first question of the class. Please answer it fast. We have done almost completed our theory part. Now we are going to apply all the things which we have learned. Please try to answer. Vertex of the parabola lies on the x-axis. What is the value of c? I guess it is c. Let me put a comma here. So the vertex of the parabola y is equal to 2x square minus 6x plus c lies on the x-axis. Okay, don't be confused there. Okay, we have got two answers. Kavya, Mishra, Charit, Chinmay also. Excellent. And all of are giving same answer. That's good thing. Farhan says 6. Okay, can anyone suggest how to do it? How we have to proceed? Or what do we get to know about, from this point that vertex lies on the x-axis? Vertex lies on the x-axis. What do we get to know from this? Yes, exactly. Thank you, Abhishek. So from this point, we get to know that d equals to 0. We just saw the different nature of the graphs. So if graph is touching x-axis at one point, it means discriminant equals to 0. And remember, what was the discriminant? The discriminant was b square minus 4ac. That must be equal to 0. Fine. So I hope you remember what was our basic equation. So basic equation, general equation was ax square plus bx plus c. So if I equate, we can find out the value of a, b, and c easily. So just plug in the values and you will get the answer. That's it. It was a simple question. So just plug in the values. So b square minus 4ac must be 0. Why? Because the vertex lies on x-axis. When it happens, when there is only one root. When that happens, when d equals to 0. So all these things are interrelated. I repeat, all these things are interrelated. So we need to have the picture clear. We need to have the clear picture. So now it's quite direct question. And see, this algebra forms almost one of the highest contributor in your CAT quant paper, or not only CAT, all other exams also. So arithmetic and algebra, these are the two major contributors. So you cannot avoid that. Arithmetic is basic understanding and algebra is basic mathematical. Algebra is mathematical. Fine. So you cannot avoid the mathematics involved in this algebra part. So you cannot avoid that. Don't think कि ज़्यादा mathematical हो गया, ingenious करेगा. No, it's basic mathematics till 10th level. इस केस में d equal to 0 कैसे पता चला? Mimancha, that's what we discussed. We saw the three graphs. Remember, I am drawing it again. We discussed this graph intersecting x-axis at 2 points, at 1 point, and not at all. Right? So what are the conditions? In this first case, we saw d must be greater than 0. Only then we are going to have two different real roots. Fine. It is just touching x-axis at 1 point. So d must be equal to 0. So that the discriminant part becomes 0 and only there is one real root. And in this case, d was negative. That's how we got non-real roots or imaginary roots. So because it is given here that vertex lies on x-axis, so this is the case where d equals to 0. Now just put the values. Let's see what happens. B is minus 6. So minus 6 ka square. Minus 4 times a is 2. And c is c only. That is equal to 0. Okay, so 36 minus 8c equals 0. 36 equals 8c. So c equals 36 by 8. So 4 2s are 8, 4 9s are 36, 9 by 2. Or you can write 4.5 also. So that's our answer. Fine. But if you are unable to visualize this, ki bhaiya d equal to 0 lena tha, then maybe you are not able to solve it. So that is the whole solution required, nothing else. So but the first point was that important point that you must understand that d equals to 0. Okay. But my question to all of you, suppose there can be few students like we are having here also, and maybe you also immediately seeing this part, that thing may not click, d equals to 0 lena tha. How do you get to know? So it doesn't click. Can we think in some alternate ways? Can there be some other ways? Please try to think and explain. Can there be some other way? If it doesn't click to me that d should have been taken to be 0, then how can I solve it? Any ideas? Ashani is saying, हाँ, exactly. Thank you, Kavya. Perfect square. Good. Ashani is saying something. अच्छा मैंने c equal to 1 ले लिया था and thus I got 28. I don't know what did you say. Gunjan says putting x equal to minus b by 2a. हाँ, right. At x equal to minus b by 2a. So y must come out to be 0. Good point. That's a good point. We have seen that this vertex lies. This vertex means whose x-axis will be certainly minus b by 2a. That's a good point. See, हमारा जो graph है, it may be of any of these shapes. This point is always, this vertex point is always having the same x coordinate. We had just discussed, that is x equals to minus b by 2a, right? So here if I talk about this case, so x is minus b by 2a. That is the coordinate of x vertex. Minus b by 2a. Minus b by 2a. That is x coordinate always. Now what about the value of y? What about the value of y? So by putting x equal to minus b by 2a, the value of y will come out. Right? So minus b by 2a pe, we want the graph that lies on x-axis, so y must come out to be 0 in this case. So just check out. So by putting x equal to minus b by 2a, y should come out to be 0. So in this case, if I say this minus b by 2a, what it will be? So minus b by 2a will be equal to minus times minus 6 upon 2a, that is 2 times 2. Yani ki 2 3 are 6, that is 3 by 2. So I just need to put x equals 3 by 2 and the value must come out to be equal to 0. Excellent. So just put 3 by 2 here. So 2 times 3 by 2 square minus 6 times 3 by 2 plus c, and that must be equal to 0. Now simplify and find the value of x, value of c. Is it okay? Good. That was a good suggestion. And one more suggestion was there about perfect square. Yes. So we can complete the square. So because by completing the square, we are going to get only one value. So that means it must be a perfect square. This expression must be a perfect square. What do I mean here? So this must be something like this. So y equals 2 times x minus something square. So if my polynomial is of this form, only in this case, there's going to be only one root. We have seen that if the expression is a perfect square, if the quadratic expression is a perfect square, only in that case there is only one root. Remember we did the example that x square minus 4x plus 4 equals to 0. So there is only going to be one single root, or both roots are equal because this was a perfect square. So same way, this expression here, this quadratic polynomial here, must also be a perfect square or multiple of perfect square. So taking 2 common, this remaining part must be a perfect square. So just complete the perfect square. Let's see. So if I take 2 common, so this x square minus 3x plus c by 2. So this term must be a perfect square. And I'm sure you can easily complete the square and find the value of c. Right? So there are different ways we can think. So but that was the best one. If you are able to get this immediately, that it is lying on x-axis, means d equals 0. Okay. Yes, Gunjan, that's correct. So Gunjan is explaining to her. Manji. Okay. Is it fine? Should we proceed further? Is it okay? Come on. Are you with me? We had one thermodynamics professor in our college. I was doing my engineering way back. So it used to be long classes at that time. Also, this is also long class. 2-hour class is a long class. Square method again. I have not explained it completely. We need to complete the square and then find the value of c. And why completing the square? Because we had already seen when our quadratic polynomial is a perfect square, in that case, there is going to be only one root. Example was that only, which we have done earlier. X square minus 4x plus 4 equals to 0. So it is actually x minus 2 whole square, isn't it? So the value of x which is going to satisfy this is 2 only, right? Both the roots were equal. So if it is x minus 2 whole square, or it is 2 times or 3 times of x minus 2 whole square, then also it is going to be the same thing. That's how someone suggested from here, from you only, that this must be a perfect square. That was a good suggestion. So these are the different ways we can think about. So now we need to complete the square, and you know how to complete the square. Remember, a square, b square, 2ab. So here a square is x square only, and this minus 3x must be 2ab. So you can easily find out the value of b. It is minus 2 into, let me write it if you wish. कहाँ लिखें? इसको साफ कर देते हैं. Okay, let me erase this part here. I think that much is sufficient. So if I complete the square, so this x square minus 3x plus c by 2. So x square is already a square number. It is a square minus 2 into a into b. So it total must be minus 3x. So this b must be 3 by 2. Yes or no? Right? So that 2 is cancelled and it is minus 3x only. Now because we have this b as 3 by 2, so we must have 3 by 2 square as well. Only then it is going to be a complete square, right? So now as I've added 3 by 2 square or 9 by 4, I need to subtract it also, right? So I need to subtract this also, minus 9 by 4. So, and this is the expression x square minus 3x plus c by 2 also we are having. And whole this thing is multiplied with 2 as well, right? I have just rewritten this expression. Fine. Now this first 3 terms make a perfect square. Let me write it is 2 times x minus 3 by 2 square. And other than this, what we are having this part, and basically this part must be equal to 0. That's the only thing. So just equate it to be 0. So you will get, this is minus 2 times 9 by 4 minus c by 2. So this part must be equal to 0. So we can find the value now. That 9 by 4 equals c by 2. So 2 say 2 cancel, 2 by 2 2 are 4. So c comes out to be 9 by 2 or 4.5. Fine. So this completing the square also we have done earlier. Significance of perfect square. We are going to have one root. That's the significance. Okay, let's move further now. Though this was first question to start with. So the best way here was to identify that discriminant must be 0. Graph is touching x-axis at one point. If that immediately doesn't click, then we could have also seen that this vertex was having vertex as a coefficient of x-axis, x coefficient, or basically x coordinate. X coordinate for vertex is going to be minus b by 2a. Right? That we saw the line of symmetry here. So minus b by 2a put करने पे the value must come out to be 0. So at that value of x, the y must come out to be 0. So from there also we found the value of c. And this third case was because it is touching x-axis at only one point. That means both roots are equal, or basically the expression must be a multiple of perfect square. So these are different ways. Okay, let's move further now. There are many more things to cover. Don't worry. So all these things we have already discussed. So let's have a recapitulation of all these things. So for quadratic equation ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0, roots are given by this part. That is minus b plus minus root b square minus 4ac by 2a, where discriminant d is b square minus 4ac. We had already talked about this. So the term inside the root b square minus 4ac, we call it discriminant. We denote it by d. Sometimes it is written as delta also. It's okay. That doesn't matter. Okay. So if this discriminant is greater than 0, if this is more than 0, we have talked about it is going to be a real number. So, but if it is a perfect square also, then what will happen? So if it is a perfect square also, then this is going to be, roots are going to be rational and distinct. Roots are going to be distinct for sure because of this plus minus sign. ठीक है ना? So roots are going to be rational and distinct. Next, if d is greater than 0 but not a perfect square, अगर ये perfect square नहीं है, in that case what is going to happen? In that case this term will be in roots only. It will be irrational term. So roots will be irrational and conjugate surds. So what is the meaning of this conjugate surds? That this root term will be positive and negative in one case. That means if one root is 2 plus root 7, for example, so can you tell me what will be the other root of this quadratic polynomial whose coefficients are all integrals? Ax square plus bx plus c equals to 0. A, b, c are all integers. So if one root is 2 plus root 7, then other root will be its conjugate pair. Yes, 2 minus root 7. So that is the meaning of the second property here, that d is greater than 0 but not a perfect square. In that case roots are going to be irrational and conjugate surds. ऐसा क्यों हुआ? Why does this happen? Because of this plus minus sign. So if this b square minus 4ac is positive but not a square, so it is going to be root term, irrational term, and it will be with positive sign and with negative sign also. ठीक है? So just by knowing the one root we can find the other root as well. Got it? By the way, can you find the equation for this? Can you find the actual equation for this quadratic polynomial whose roots are 2 plus root 7 and 2 minus root 7? Please find it fast. What will be the quadratic equation for this with these roots? If this is one of the roots, say alpha, this is another root beta. So what is the quadratic equation here? I'm waiting for your answers. Okay, x square plus 4x minus 3. Aratrika says x square minus 4x minus 3. Please recheck. We are getting different answers here. There should not be any error. See, what we can easily find? We can easily find sum of the roots, right? So alpha plus beta, that is sum of the roots, is how much? It's 4. And alpha into beta, that is product of the roots. If you multiply them, it is going to be a plus b, a minus b, that is a square minus b square, which is 2 square minus root 7 square, right? So 4 minus 7 is minus 3. So we know the sum of the roots, we know the product of the roots, and if you remember, so equation was what? It is x square minus sx plus p equals 0. When you are equating the coefficients and the roots, we saw this part, right? So we can just put the values here. So x square, s was 4, so minus 4x plus p, but p is a negative value here, so minus 3. So this is the right answer, right? X square minus 4x minus 3 equals 0. So that's the equation, quadratic equation, whose roots are this. Is it fine? So here is also this important part here. If you have not observed this earlier, so now you can keep it in your mind. Okay, so basically all this parts, as I said earlier, so this whole series is used repeatedly. All the different points, all the important points regarding quadratic equations, their properties, roots, discriminant, nature of roots, sum of the roots, product of the roots, graphical part. So everything will be used. And as I said, this algebra part is an important part of your quant paper in CAT. और उसमें भी जो है एग्जाम के अंदर जो algebra के questions हैं, उसमें majority part is from linear equations and quadratic only. Other parts have the contribution, but उसमें जो basic part है, that is up to quadratic level, quadratic and series also. Because after that there will be topic totally beyond 10th class. There will be some topics which will be totally beyond 10th class. So these questions, these topics are till your 10th level, which is common to certainly every one of you also, right? So that's why at least till this quadratic and series part, we should be very, very comfortable. So we cannot avoid the mathematical part here. Okay, I hope this is easy. Let's move to further next properties here. If d equals to 0, then roots are rational and equal. So we have discussed this already. Let's check it again. If d equals 0, that means this part is equal to 0. So what will be the roots? So x is going to be minus b by 2a only. ठीक है ना? X is going to be minus b by 2a only because b square minus 4ac तो 0 हो गया, it is equal to 0. Fine. Arithmetic is easy. I have already told you. Arithmetic is basic. Arithmetic is basic, commonsensical thing. But algebra is mathematical, and you cannot avoid that. If you are avoiding that, you are leaving half the syllabus. You are leaving almost half the syllabus. So don't do that. And that's what I'm saying. At least till this linear, quadratic, and up to sequence and series. At least this part we must be comfortable with. Minimum. Uske beyond, if you go, there will be functions, maxima, minima, and more things. So if you can go about that, that's good. But at least till quadratic, we must do. Okay, and if d is less than 0, so we have discussed this also. If this is negative, then we are having non-real roots, imaginary roots, and these imaginary roots are also in conjugate pair. These imaginary roots are also in conjugate pairs. Okay? So as in the irrational conjugate search, we are having plus minus sign with this root part. Same way in imaginary part, this imaginary part is with a plus minus sign. That means if one root is 2 plus iota 7 maybe, then another will be 2 minus iota 7. Okay? I told you, Kavya is writing non-engineers को functions से दिक्कत शुरू होगी. Don't bother about that. That's not difficult although, but still yes, that is going to be more mathematical. Complete algebra is mathematical. Linear equations वाला part still is having some logical things, but after that it is purely mathematical, and which will be interesting if you understand and if you are open to learn. If just by seeing the equations or something you get baffled, then it's going to be difficult, of course. But don't think it is difficult. It is easy. Tell yourself, as Amir Khan says ना, क्या बोलता है? हो जाएगा. क्या बोलता है? All is well. It is easy. It's easy. आसान है. It's not difficult. So if d is greater than or equal to 0, then roots are real. So let's move further now. I hope till this point, all same things are being repeated basically. Same things are being repeated. So the point is that only that you must become comfortable with them. And this is our objective. If you are not still comfortable, repeat until you become comfortable. Because if you decide, I don't want to be comfortable with this, then you can never learn. There are not many things here. There are only 2-3 things, not much things. But that is mathematical for sure, and you need to be comfortable with that. Okay, let's move further. There are going to be many different kinds of things. So nature roots, we have already discussed it. Okay, try to answer this question now. Not just application of the different things which we have learned. Please try to answer this. There's one statement for you, Annie. Believe in yourself. Don't feel yourself dumb. Even if you are dumb, we need to improve. That must be our objective. I need to improve. I need to improve. That's it. If that is my target, then there's no issue. Okay, please answer this question now. No more further talks. Shubhangi is asking how was the product minus 3, and thanks Aditya for answering. Using algebraic identity, we found that, Shubhangi, a plus b multiplied with a minus b, if you remember, you have done it in school in 8th class, it is equal to a square minus b square. So that's what we used there. Okay? Manikant, you can call it motivation, but this is true fact. If you think I need to prove myself, don't prove. Don't try to prove yourself. Try to improve yourself. हाँ, exactly क्वेश्चन क्या पूछ रहा है? Okay, let me read it. It says P is a single digit prime number. Okay, it's a single digit prime number, ठीक है. And Q is a natural number. Fine. Now question is how many equations will have real roots? So first it is talking about the nature of roots. Roots must be real. Can you identify when we are going to get real roots? What was the condition? When we are going to get real roots? What is the condition to get real roots in a quadratic equation? Please, if anyone remembers, we just did. Yes, discriminant must be greater than equal to 0. Thanks, Tathagat. So discriminant not necessarily only greater than Harsh, it can be equal also. Yes, that's correct, Vihana. So discriminant must be greater than equal to 0. That is our condition. So that we are going to have, we are going to get real roots. Fine. Discriminant क्या होता है? That you know, b square minus 4ac. So that means this 4 root p का square with negative sign of course. So the positive बन जाने वाला है b square minus 4 a is 1 and c is 3q. Right. So this must be greater than equal to 0. So that is our requirement. Is it okay? There's only one equation. Yes, so we are not going to solve it. We are going to check what can be the values of P and Q according to the given constraint. So P should be a single digit prime number and Q is a natural number. Okay, let's proceed further. Let me make some space here. Okay, so if I simplify this, this is going to be 16p minus 12q. It must be greater than equal to 0. Fine. So that means 16p must be greater than equal to 12q. We can certainly divide by 4 both sides. Let me do. So if I divide by 4, it comes out to be 4p must be greater than equal to 3q. Fine. So that is the only one inequality or inequation, right? So now how to solve it? It is not required to be solved. We need to check the values as I said earlier. What can be the values of p and q? So let's make a table. Let's make a table. And we know that p is a single digit prime number. Do you know what are single digit prime numbers? Can you tell me what are the possible values of p? Single digit prime numbers. p क्या क्या हो सकता है? What are single digit prime numbers? Please write quickly. Single digit prime numbers. 4 is not prime. 2, 3, 5, 7. 9 is not. 2, 3, 5, 7. So p can be 2 or 3 or 5 or 7. That's it. That's it. 2, 3, 5, 7. 1 is not prime. It's 2, 3, 5, 7. Okay, let's proceed further. So we have got the value of p. Just put the value of p and see what can be the values of q. That's it. So if I take p equals 2, so 4 into 2 is 8, right? Now 3 times q must be less than or equal to 8. Or I can say, I can write it like this. So 4 by 3 times p must be less than equal to q. ठीक है ना? We can write it like this as well. So if I take p equals 2, this is the value of q. So if I take p equals 2, the first case, so 8 by 3. 8 by 3 means 2 and something. That means the value of q can be 1 or 2. So 2 values. Is it okay? Is it okay? Q can be only 1 or 2. Same way, next case, if I take p equals 3, so then q must be less than equal to 4. So 1, 2, 3 or 4. So there are 4 values possible here. You missed the word prime. Okay. And same way for 5, if I put 5, so 5 into 4, 20, 20 by 3, that will be 20 by 3 is 6 and something. So q can be up to 6 only, so 6 values. It can be anything from 1 to 6. And finally, when we are taking p equal to 7, so 28 by 3. 28 by 3 means 9 and something. That means a value of q can be up to 9. So 9 possible values. So total you just need to add that 9 plus 6, 15, 15 and 4, 19 and 2, 21. So the required answer here is 21. How many equations will have real roots? 21. Fine. That was a simple counting question. We just need to make the cases. So before that, we found the condition required. Okay, let's proceed further. So here's the next question on your screen. If both A and B belong to the set 1, 2, 3, 4, then the number of equations of the form ax square plus bx plus 1 equals to 0 having real roots is. It's exactly a similar question. Please try to answer. Aman, it was given that they were natural numbers, isn't it? P was given prime number and Q was a natural number. Ronak, we just added all the values. That's it. We just added all the cases. Now answer this one. Again, condition is same. We want to have real roots. And you know that for real roots, again discriminant D must be greater than equal to 0. ठीक है ना? Okay, answer is 7. Good. B. Excellent. Many of you have got the answer. And because all of you are getting same answer, so I suspect that must be right also. That's excellent. Let's check that. Let's check that. फटाफट से देखते हैं. So D must be greater than equal to 0. That means B square minus 4AC. That is B square minus 4A must be greater than equal to 0, or B square must be greater than equal to 4A. That's the required condition. And we know that both A and B belong to this set 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Let's again make the table as last time, A and B. So you can start with any of the values. Maybe let me start with A. If I put A equals 1, if I take A equals 1, then B square must be greater than or equal to 4. So the value of B minimum it should be 2, because now B cannot be equal to 1, right? So 2 square will be equal to 4. So B can be more than 2 as well. So 2, 3 or 4. So these are 3 values possible. Next case, if I take a equals 2, then 4 into 2, 8. Now b square must be greater than or equal to 8. So b equals 1 won't work, b equals 2 won't work, but b equals to 3. That is 3 squares 9, that will work. So b can be 3 or 4. 2 values here. Next case, if I take a equals 3, 4 into 3, 12. So for this case, b square must be more than 12. So only b equals 4 will work. So 1 value here. And finally, when a equals 4, in that case also b equals 4 only will work. So 3 plus 2, 5 and 1, 6 and 1, 7. So 7 is the right answer. Congratulations, आप जीते हैं 7. आगे चलते हैं. Okay, here's the next question. Answer it fast. So we have reached the next level of the game. Yes, Pradeep. You have to tell the value of k. There's a question here. Some are saying -2, some are saying +2. Please recheck. Getting different answers is not a good way. Again, I'm seeing many different answers here. 2, -2, somebody is saying 6 also. Divyansh says 4 root 2. क्या कर दिया भैया? -2 and 4 are the roots. That's fine, Shantanu. Good. That's a good observation. The question is you have to find the value of k. Okay, let's see how we can do it. See, one thing is that it is given one root is square of the other. So we know that 2 roots are alpha and beta. So it is given that one root is square of the other. So that means if one root is alpha, if alpha is alpha, then beta is alpha square. Right? There is a given part here. If alpha is alpha, one root is alpha, the other must be alpha square. So we know the sum of the roots and product of the roots, isn't it? So sum of the roots is minus b by a, that is minus k in this case, and product of the roots, that is alpha into alpha square or alpha cube, that is equal to c by a. C by a means -8. So from this you can easily find the value of alpha. Alpha comes out to be -2. Yes or no? Yes, alpha comes out to be -2. So if alpha comes out to be -2, then that means the roots are -2 and 4, as I saw in the comments as well. The roots are -2 and 4. So sum of the roots would be -2 plus 4, which is +2. But this +2 is the value of minus k, right? So k would be how much? K would be -2. So that is the right answer. Okay, so k equals -2 is the right answer. Is it fine? So don't do the mistake. If you will do any mistake, you will be demoted to the lower levels. Okay, let's move further. Here's another one. If k is real, what is the nature of roots? I hope you remember how to find the nature of roots. It depends on the discriminant, right? That was a small hint. Try to answer. Okay, I got my first answer. Kavya says real and distinct, while Aratrika says real and unequal. That's same thing. Okay. Real and distinct. Kunjan also says, "Arey, सारा girls answer कर रहे हैं भाई." Sara and now boys also are there. Pranav, same real and distinct. Ishan, real and distinct. Nakshatra, real and distinct. Harshita, real and distinct. Excellent. Almost everyone is saying same thing. Almost everyone is saying same thing. Good, good. And that's the right answer. Let's see. We have to find the nature of roots, and nature of roots depend on discriminant. We need to see whether discriminant is greater than 0, greater than equal to 0, or less than 0, right? These are the different things. So whether discriminant is greater than 0 or equal to 0, less than 0, that's what we have to see. If it is greater than 0, then roots are real and distinct. If it is equal to 0, roots are real and equal. If it is less than 0, roots are non-real. That's it. ठीक है ना, ये तो सारा पार्ट था. So let's see in this question. The discriminant is b square minus 4ac. That is b square means 2 into k plus 1 square. It is b square minus 4ac. So 4 into 1 into 2k. I want to see whether this expression is greater than 0, equal to, or less than. Right? That's the only thing. And what do I know about k? That k is a real number. That's the only information we are having. Okay. Let's proceed further. So this 2 square is 4. 2 square is 4 is also there. So 4 can be taken out. So besides 4, we are having this k plus 1 whole square, which means k square plus 2k plus 1. And with minus sign 4, I have already taken out common. So it is 2k. Now this 2k part can be cancelled, so we are simply left with 4 times k square plus 1. Okay, so now we need to examine this expression, whether this is going to be greater than 0 or equal to 0 or less than 0. Of course, I don't know the value of k. I only know that k is a real number. Now you tell me, k square, that is square of a real number. What can be its minimum value? I repeat my question. K is a real number, so square of k, that is square of a real number. What can be its minimum value? Please tell me. What can be its minimum value? Why do you say 1, Divyansh? Yes, Chinmay, that's correct. It's 0. Arey Baba, this is a real number. K can be negative or positive, whatever, right? So when I'm going to square it, negative number will also become positive. Positive square to positive hoga hi. So minimum value will be there when this K becomes equal to 0. So in general, this K square is going to be equal to greater than equal to 0. Plus 1 is also there. So this total value is going to be greater than or equal to 1. Acha, I think you are telling the value of this complete expression. Okay, fine. So this is going to be 4 into greater than equal to 1. That means it is going to be greater than or equal to 4. Right? This is certainly greater than or equal to 4. That means it is greater than 0 for sure. It cannot be equal to 0 also. Right? It cannot be equal to 0 also. So certainly answer is going to be real and distinct roots. Is fine? Okay, let's proceed further to the next question now. I hope there's no doubt here. Good. So here is the next part. Yes, that's a good one. Please try to answer this. Question says, if one root of x square plus px plus 12 equals 0 is 4, while the equation x square plus px plus q equal to 0 has equal roots, then what is the value of q? 49 by 4. As always, Kavya Mishra is the first one to answer, followed by Aratrika. And that's a pleasurable thing to me that I'm getting the same answers on my screen. That's good. Every one of you who has answered so far says 49 by 4. And let me tell you another motivational point you can think. The number along with the live part, you are seeing it is declining. That indicates decline in the competition. Isn't it? And that's a true picture of the actual exam also. Okay, let's see it, how to do. It's a very easy question. One root of the equation is 4. So what can we find from this part? One root of this polynomial is 4. This equation is 4. So what value we can find out from here? We can find the value of p from here, right? So this equation is satisfied at x equals to 4. So if I put x equals to 4 here, so we can find the value of p from here, right? And putting that value of p, we will get the value of q. Okay, let's see. So if I'm putting the value of p x here, so 4 square plus 4 times p plus 12 must be equal to 0, right? 16 plus 12 is 28. So 4p must be equal to minus 28, which gives us the value of p as minus 7. That's the first part. Fine. Now it says this equation, other equation has equal roots. Equal roots kab hone the? When are we going to get equal roots? When this discriminant is equal to 0, right? So discriminant means again b square minus 4ac or p square minus 4q. This must be equal to 0, or basically p square must be equal to 4q. So p we already know it is minus 7, so q we need to find out. So q is simply p square by 4, which is 49 by 4. Right, that was not a difficult question, it's easy. Okay, let's move further. Okay, this question, we have already done some of the part. Please answer it fast. A quadratic equation, ax square plus bx plus c equals 0 has rational coefficients. One of the roots is 2 plus root 7. What is the value of a plus b plus c? Okay, this time Mehak is the first one. Minus 6 is her answer. Nakshatra also says minus 6. Chinmay says minus 6. But bhaiyo bhaino, there is some tricky part involved here. Please recheck your answers. It's good I'm getting same answers, but all the same answers may be wrong also. Let me inform all of you, the answer for this question would be cannot be determined. Cannot be determined. Minus 6 what you have found is good. There is no fault in that, but that is incomplete answer. Yes, minus 6a. Gunjan, that's good. Minus 6a. So because of the value of a, we cannot determine the actual answer. By the way, we had already done this part. When one of the roots is 2 plus root 7, the other root is going to be 2 minus root 7. Why did we get this? Because the coefficients are rational. Okay, because the coefficients are rational, that's how we can be confirmed that the roots are going to be in conjugate pairs. So if one is 2 plus root 7, other is 2 minus root 7. Fine. Now, as we did earlier, the sum of the roots is going to be sum of these two, that is 4. And product of the roots, again as we did earlier, a plus b into a minus b, that will be 2 square minus root 7 the square. So 4 minus 7 is minus 3. So in general, we write the equation as x square minus sx plus p equals to 0. I wrote that also earlier, right? I wrote the same thing. Devyansh, you're asking good point. What do you mean by rational coefficients? So why it is given and why, what is the significance of that? I'm going to discuss that. That's a good point. But let me finish first. अच्छा हुआ भावनाओं में नहीं बह गया. Okay, Pranav was thinking -8 6. ठीक है, okay. I think you safeguard yourself from giving the wrong answer. Anyway, now understand what is the mistake here. Let's try to understand what is the mistake in that -6. ठीक है. So x square minus sx plus b equals to 0. That is the general form of equation. But this is not the only equation which is going to have those roots. Let's see here what I mean to say. So putting the value of 4 and put the value of s and p here, you can get the equation that x square minus 4x minus 3 equals to 0, right? All of you have done that only. You took a to be 1, b to be -4 and c to be -3, and that's how you found the value for a plus b plus c. ठीक है ना? Everyone has done that only, I'm sure. So a you have taken 1, b you have taken -4, and c as -3, which gives you answer as -6. But this is incomplete, as I said. Why? Because this is not the only equation, not only quadratic equation, which are having these roots. See, if I multiply any real number here, if I make it twice of this, are the roots going to change? Please think and answer. Are the roots going to change? Roots are not going to change. Roots will remain same. Root does not depend on this extra 2 here. ठीक है ना? Roots does not depend on this extra 2 here. Roots will be same. But what will change is the coefficients. The value of coefficients will change. The value of ABC, which you have taken as 1, -4, -3, that will change. Got it? So this A, the coefficient of x square, is very important term. And let me tell you, CAT 2008 had a question based on this part specifically, where they asked a similar thing, a plus b plus c, and assuming a equals 1, you can get some of the answers as you have got here also, and that was in the options, but the answer was cannot be determined. ठीक है? So CAT has already done this tricky part, has asked about this tricky part in its paper of 2008. So this is not the only equation with those particular roots. Any multiple of it, any real multiple of it will have same roots. So because this unknown value of a, we cannot find the answer. If it had been given a equals 1, then we can find the answer. Then your answer -6 is correct. But right now, this answer would be cannot be determined. Or as I think somebody wrote -6a, that you can say. So we cannot find the value in numerical numbers, but in terms of a, we can answer -6a. Is it okay? Okay, now rational coefficient. What is the meaning of this rational coefficient? See, let me first erase this part. Okay, so as we wrote that x equals -b plus minus root b square minus 4ac upon 2a, and then we talked about this b square minus 4ac as discriminant, and depending on the value of this discriminant, whether it is more than 0, equal to 0, less than 0, we found the nature of roots, right? That was the whole part we have discussed over, and we are using it. But try to understand, what are the values of b, a and c here? Can they be irrational numbers? Can they be non-real values? No. Here we are assuming that a, b, c are rational numbers. Let me repeat. Suppose it had been the case that the value of b is equal to root 2. Let's assume that b square minus 4 is greater than 0, and b square minus 4 is a perfect square as well. But value of b is root 2. So now the roots will be different. But it will be irrational roots now. It will be irrational roots. Let me give an example. How should I explain this? Okay. Let's try to get it this way. Can you frame a quadratic equation whose one root is root 2? And other root is root 3. Is it possible? Please try to write the equation of a quadratic equation whose two roots are root 2 and root 3, assuming coefficient of a is 1. Yeah, a is equal to 1. Let me write it this way only. Coefficient of x square is 1. Please write an equation, quadratic equation, whose two roots are root 2 and root 3. Okay, Vihana thinks not possible. Fast, please, I'm waiting for your answers. Why is it not possible? The graph may pass through 2 points on the number line, root 2 and root 3. What is the issue there? It may be possible, no? Good. Kavya has answered here. See, we had discussed it earlier in the beginning. If alpha and beta are the two roots of a quadratic polynomial, then the quadratic polynomial is nothing but a times x minus alpha into x minus beta. Yes or no? Right? So in this case, if the two roots are root 2 and root 3, the quadratic equation must be x minus root 2 into x minus root 3 equals to 0. We have taken a equals to 1 here, right? And on simplifying this, what are you going to get? That x square minus root 2 plus root 3 times x plus root 6 equals to 0. So this is a quadratic equation whose two roots are root 2 and root 3, and they are not in the conjugate pairs. That are not in the conjugate pairs. Are you getting it? Okay, now the important point. Till now we were discussing that the irrational roots are appearing in conjugate pairs, but when it is going to happen? When the roots are not irrational. Basically, when the coefficients are not irrational. See here, coefficients are irrational. Root 6 and root 2 plus root 3, they are irrational coefficients. Fine. So if the coefficients are rational, only this thing is going to happen. Otherwise not. I repeat, only when coefficients are rational, or basically integral we can say in general, so only then this conjugate pairs, conjugate surds thing is going to be there, otherwise not. Otherwise, both roots can be irrational and can be different numbers as well, as we have taken this example. Is it fine? I understood writing root on the keyboard will be difficult part, and kindly excuse me, I had to make you work hard to write all these things. It's fine. Okay, so I hope this idea is clear. So what is the significance of rational roots? Is it clear? Please confirm, is the significance of rational coefficients clear to everyone? So if it not had been the rational coefficients, in that case it is not compulsory for the roots to be conjugate pairs. Okay, let's proceed further now. So we still have a lot more things to do. Here's the next question. It is an easier one. Please answer it fast. If the roots of px square plus qx plus 2 equals 0 are reciprocals of each other, then which of the following is true? Option 4 you mean to say, Kavya? Okay. Option 4, many of you are saying, Diksha Rana writes 2. What 2? Your option 2 or p equals to 2? Option 4, I guess. Okay. Okay, tell me, when the roots are reciprocals of each other, that means if one root is alpha, and other one is 1 upon alpha. So, what can we figure out from here? The product of the roots, that is alpha multiplied with 1 by alpha, it is going to be 1. Right, that was the only key point here. So yes, Diksha, I got it. So p equal to 2 you wanted to say, is fine. So product must be equal to 1, and product, you know, it is equal to c by a, which in this case is 2 by p. So basically that is our key point here. So this 2 by p is nothing but equal to 1, and that gives us that p equals 2. So option 4, that p equal to 2 is the right answer. And again, I'm really happy that most of you, I think almost every one of you, have got the right answer. So here is the next question. But before this, yes, it's an important type here. Alpha and beta are the roots. Then the equation whose roots are alpha plus 1 and beta plus 1 will be this one. So this is a change of roots. This is a small topic. Small topic, it's not a topic basically, but okay, we can treat it as a topic. So we know that there is a quadratic equation whose roots are alpha and beta, and question asks us about to frame a new equation whose roots are given in some particular cases. So here, like one root is given alpha plus 1, another is beta plus 1. So both roots are basically increased by 1. So the new equation would be x minus 1 square a times plus b times x minus 1 plus c. So basically what we are doing, so if roots are increasing by 1 both, in that case we need to subtract 1 to the x. So we need to just replace x by x minus 1. Is it okay? Same way, if roots are getting decreased by 1, as in the second case here, so we need to replace x by x plus 1. ठीक है, रूट्स में प्लस हुआ था तो x को माइनस कर दिया, रूट्स को सब्ट्रैक्ट किया है सेम वैल्यू से. सी सेम वैल्यू मस्ट बी देयर. इफ इट इज नॉट दैट, देन वी कैन नॉट डायरेक्टली अप्लाई इट. सो इट इज अल्फा माइनस 1 बीटा माइनस 1, देन वी हैव टू रिप्लेस x by x plus 1. सेम वे, इफ रूट्स आर बिकमिंग k times alpha, k times beta, so because roots are becoming k times, so we need to replace x by k, x upon k, right? And same way, if roots are becoming alpha by k, beta by k, तो क्या करना पड़ेगा? It's obvious. Now we need to replace x by k times x. And if roots are becoming 1 by alpha, 1 by beta, in that case we need to replace x by 1 by x. So it is 1 by x square like this. ठीक है? So that thing may come to your mind, why we are doing this, aisa kyun, why do we do that? So it's very easy thing, not difficult. Try to understand. Just I'm taking this one first example only. Alpha and beta are the roots of this, so you know that if you put the value of x equals to alpha, you put the value of alpha here, so this must become equal to 0. Equation must become equal to 0. We can put any number in place of 1. Yes, that's true, Divyansh. It's not necessary that plus 1, it may be plus 2 both sides, plus 3 both sides. Equal chain must be there. Equal chain must be there. So basically, rather I should write alpha plus k, beta plus k. Equation will be x minus k, x minus k. Alpha minus k, beta minus k. So it will be x plus k and x plus k, as we have done here also. ठीक है ना? You can take a screenshot. ये अच्छा है. Okay, so I was talking about why it is working. So ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0. So I know that by putting alpha, so a into alpha square plus b into alpha plus c, that becomes equal to 0. So I need to see now if I want alpha plus 1 to be root or alpha plus k to be the root, let's say. So I need to see by putting x equals to alpha plus k, I must get this expression, right? So a into alpha square I should get. So I need to replace x by x minus k. So that when I put value of x as alpha plus k, so substituting the value of x as alpha plus k will cancel out this k, and I will be left with alpha square only as required here. So same terms will work here. So that's how we got this answer. So alpha plus k put करने से alpha square ही बनना चाहिए. That was the requirement. Fine. So that's how we are solving it. So anyhow, so these are some of the special cases. There can be many more different cases as well. But whenever we get similar cases, so directly we can apply this. So let me repeat what we have just discussed. So if both the roots are being increased by same quantity, so we need to subtract that quantity. We need to replace that value of x by x minus that quantity. If both the roots are getting decreased, so then the value of x must increase by that same amount. If both the roots are being multiplied by same factor, then the value of x must be divided by that same factor. If both the roots are getting divided by same factor, then the values must be multiplied by the same factor. If both the roots are becoming reciprocal, and then the value of x must be reciprocal. That's it. When will this be used? When a question will be there, and here it is, the first case. All the 5 cases have been asked. Please answer them fast. And let's do it together. Find the equation whose roots are 1 more than the roots of the equation x square plus 10x plus 22 equals 0. First question, answer please. Now it is not necessary to find the roots of this equation. We can directly write the equation which satisfies this condition. A new equation whose roots are 1 more than the roots. What we need to do, can you tell me? We'll just take 5-10 more minutes. We just need to cover 2-3 more things. So to answer this first question, what we need to do? We want the equation whose roots are 1 more than. That means we need to replace x by x minus 1. That's our requirement. So let me write in that way. So it will be x minus 1 square plus 10 times x minus 1 plus 22 equals 0. On simplifying, we can find the answer. Right? That's the first case. Yes, one less. We just need to replace x by x minus 1. That's what I have done. You can simplify it to find the answer. That's the first one. Similarly, second one, what we need to do? I want the equation whose roots are 1 less than the roots of that equation. In that case, x need to be increased. Right? We just need to increase x. We need to replace x by x plus 1. So it is going to be x plus 1 whole square plus 10 times x plus 1 plus 22 equals to 0. You can simplify it to find the answer. Right? It's exactly the same point, same 5 points which we discussed in the last slide. It is the same thing. So find the equation whose roots are twice the roots. The roots are to become twice. So what we need to do? We need to replace x by 2. Right? So in place of x, we need to write x by 2. So it is going to become x by 2 whole square plus 10 times x by 2 plus 22 equal to 0. Let's verify quickly. In this case, I wanted the roots to be twice, right? So if initially root was alpha, so by putting 2 alpha now, I must get the same answer. If I put 2 alpha, so 2 alpha by 2 will be alpha square plus 10 times same 2 alpha by 2, that is alpha, so 10 alpha plus 22 equal to 0. That's true, right? That's how we are doing. And then similarly, fourth one. So equation whose roots are half the roots. So if roots are to become half, then x need to be replaced by 2x. So it is going to be 2x whole square plus 10 times 2x plus 22 equals 0. And finally, whose roots are reciprocals of the roots. So we just need to replace x by 1 by x. That is 1 by x whole square minus 10 times 1 by x plus 22 equals to 0. So these are exactly the same 5 cases which we just discussed in the last slide. So this is not the right answer, final answer. We need to simplify it to get the equation, right? In the options, you are going to get the simplified version of the equations. Okay, so yes, so these 5 parts we have discussed. Just 1-2 more things are to be covered. Before that, there is one simple question. It's a cat question. Please try to answer this fast. And it is very easy. Actually, very easy. Yashi, we are about to end. Don't worry. We are about to stop today. Just 1 or 2 more slides after this. Screenshot lene dete. Pranav, you can rewind the video na, Baba. You can see it again also, na? Answer please. Okay, Gunjan is the first one. She says A. Okay, let me check. I haven't checked yet. Okay. Good. A is the right answer. And Gunjan, Shantanu, they have given the right answer. Mimansha is doubtful A or C. In between, I can see Pragat says, explain it slowly. Whatever I have understood, now it is going to out of mind. Don't worry, Pragat. Nothing will go out of mind. It will Pragat again. Yes, most of you are getting the right answer. Okay, let's see it quickly. Ujakar and Keshav are 2 persons attempted to solve a quadratic equation. Ujakar made a mistake in writing down the constant term. See, ax square plus bx plus c. This is a quadratic equation equals to 0. And constant term likhne mein mistake kiya hai. He has done the mistake in writing down the constant term. It means some of the roots must have been found correctly. Because C he has found wrongly. So sum of the roots is minus b by a. Sum of the roots alpha plus beta. So he must have used the correct values of a and b, right? So sum of roots, whatever he has found is perfectly fine. So he ended up with the roots 4 and 3. That means sum of the root actually must be 7 only. Yes or no? Right? Similarly, Keshav, the second person, made a mistake in writing down the coefficient of x. So coefficient of x, that means he has written b wrongly, but c and a he has written perfectly. So product of the roots, which is c by a, he must have got perfectly. So what are the roots obtained by him? So roots are 3 and 2. So product must be 3 into 2, 6 only. Alright, so we need to find such roots whose sum is 7 and product is 6. We can easily check options and option A satisfies. Sum is 7 and product is 6. So that's the easy question, right answer. Let's quickly do one more. Okay, yes, that's a good one. If P and Q are roots of this equation, then what is the equation if the roots are this? And let me remind you, this is the last question, okay? Don't be impatient, this is the last question for the day. We have covered almost all the topics. Maximum, minimum, small part we discussed in the beginning, but we haven't done any question. So 1 or 2 questions are remaining from that part, but we will stop here. We will stop here for the day. Please answer this question. Now we want to find an equation whose roots are pq plus p plus q, pq minus p minus q. For this particular case, I didn't give you any formula directly, right? So how can we answer? I'm getting answers from Gunjan and Ishan. How to solve this? We can find the exact values of the roots, isn't it? By the way, you people are getting same answers, A. So I hope that must be correct. But Arno is asking, ye kya hai? It's not difficult. In appearance, it may look confusing, but it's not. See, let's solve it together. P and Q are the roots of this equation. It means, can you tell me the value of P plus Q? How much is the value of P plus Q? the value of p plus q will be minus b upon a, that is b in this case. Yes or no? Fine? Right. Now similarly, can we find the value of p into q? How much it is going to be? P into q is c only. Product of the root, that is c by a, so it's c by 1, that is c only. Okay, so the new equation which we want to frame must have the roots pq plus p plus q, that is c plus b, and the other root must be pq minus p plus q, or c minus b. So we want to frame a new equation whose two roots are c plus b and c minus b. So if these must be the two roots, now it's not difficult, I guess, right? So if you use that sum and product format only, so the sum of the roots of the new equation to be formed is sum of these two parts, right? And sum of these two parts is how much? B will be cancelled, it is 2c. And what will be product of these two? It is going to be c square minus b square. That's it, we got the answer. So x square minus 2cx plus c square minus b square. And that is our first equation. Fine, so that was an easy question, it was not difficult at all. But in appearance it may feel like that. In the previous 5 questions which we did directly, we put the answer. But now how we can directly do it? It may not be possible every time. So but we could have find the value of these roots actually. So that's how we have done it. Is this fine? Aditya is saying c plus b c minus b नहीं समझ में आया भाई. See, we want the roots to be pq plus p plus q. So pq is c, right, and p plus q is b. So c plus b must be one of the roots of the new equation. Similarly, pq minus p minus q, that means c minus b. So we want the new equation to have these two roots. That's what we have done. We have not done anything new. No new concept have been introduced here. Same basic thing which we have been doing earlier. We are using the same part only. Is it okay? Yes, we have just put the values. Okay, as I promised, so this would be the last slide. I'm not moving further, but I just, in the end, I just want to, as I was saying, the maximum minimum was a slight part which was remaining. Just one small part. We discussed this equation earlier, x square, similar equation, let's say I'm writing x square minus 2x, maybe minus 1 equal to 0. Okay, this is a quadratic equation. No, don't buy, just 1 minute, please 1 minute, Just 1 minute, I would like to have x square minus 2x minus 1 equal to 0. Please quickly revise. If I draw the parabola, if I draw the graph of this quadratic polynomial, x square minus 2x minus 1, what will be the shape? Will it be upward parabola or downward parabola? Will it be upward parabola or downward parabola? Will it be upward parabola or downward parabola? Yes, it is upward parabola. How did we get to know upward parabola? Because of the sign of the coefficient of x square, right? A is positive, right? A is positive, so it is upward parabola. Fine. Good. It's upward parabola. Now, it is upward parabola, so which extreme value can be found out? Maximum value or minimum value? Which is having a finite value? Maximum value or minimum value? Which value will be finite here? Minimum value, because maximum value would be infinitely large, right? Because it is upward opening parabola, so it can go as high as possible. But the minimum value will be fixed, right? Minimum value will be fixed. Okay, can you find out that minimum value? When are we going to get that minimum value? Do you remember? When are we going to obtain that minimum value? Aditya, I'm not asking about solving this equation. Solving this equation, you will get only two values, that is roots. So I'm not asking about the exact value. Yes, minus b by 2a, somebody has wrote. Aishani, good. Harsh, yes, many of you. So minus b by 2a. At x equals minus b by 2a, this expression is going to get its extreme minimum value. Lowest extreme value, right? At x is equal to minus b by 2a. And so at x is equal to minus b by 2a, which means minus times minus 2 upon 2a, that is 1 only, right? So at x is equal to 1, this expression is going to take its least value. Yes, at x equal to 1, this is going to take its least value. And what is that least value? What is the minimum value for this expression? Can you find that? What is the minimum value for this expression? We just need to put x equal to 1 here. Right? We just need to put the value of x as 1. So if I put x equal to 1, so 1 square minus 2 into 1 minus 1, that is the minimum value of this expression. So 1 minus 2 is minus 1, and minus 1 makes it minus 2. So minus 2 is the minimum value for this graph. Fine? Okay, that means, can you estimate this graph was upward parabola, and its the vertex or its minimum value is at x equals to 1, and the minimum value is minus 2. So if I am trying to draw this graph, what is going to happen? At x equal to 1, let's say it is here, x0 यहाँ पे था, this was x-axis, y-axis, like that. So at x equals to 1, y is going to get minus 2. So minus 2 is maybe somewhere here. This is minus 2. So this is the lowest extreme. That means this upward parabola is going to go something like this. It is going to intersect x-axis at 2 points. Right? So that's how there will be two real distinct roots, and we can draw the graph also. Many things can be done. Okay? Okay, why I wrote this? Do we need to do all these things? No. I told you, remember, I told you about completing the square. Let's try to complete the square. So using x square minus 2x, what can you write? You can write x minus 1 whole square, because x square minus 2x plus 1 would have been a perfect square. है ना? So those plus 1 को minus 1 बनाने के लिए I had to put minus 2 here. Right? So basically I have rewritten this expression in terms of completed square. Now this part alone is sufficient to answer all the queries. This expression is going to get its lowest value when this part is equal to 0. And this part will be equal to 0 at x equals to 1. So at x equals to 1, the minimum value is minus 2. That's it. So both the things we have got here only. Is it fine? So that was the end. That's sufficient. So that was the point which I wanted to convey. So this was one of the ways that algebraically we are seeing at x equal to minus b by 2a, we are going to get that minimum value or maximum value depending upon the coefficient. But just by completing the square, we can get both things together. So at x equals to 1, the lowest value is minus 2. Right? If x is not equal to 1, then this is going to increase. So total value is going to increase. So that confirms that minus 2 is the lowest value or minimum value. And when are we going to get? At x equals 1. So that's the end. Thank you. Good night. And I'm really thankful for staying for so long. मोदी जी से गुजारिश है बंद करो हाँ कर दिया भैया बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद Thank you everyone. So we'll continue tomorrow. We'll discuss about the polynomials, and it will include again some properties related to quadratics as well, and also we will be covering that surds and indices part. Fine. Thank you everyone, and thank you for your patience. Indices and surds कल करेंगे रितिका. There's a small part, we will add it in tomorrow's session. Thank you. Questions अच्छे थे, so that credit goes to iQuanta team. They have selected the questions and I've tried to explain. Okay, bye. Shivam Chaudhary, मजा आया? Good. Thank you. Good night. Okay, so let me end it here.